Sky Squad, we are back in the building and we are talking Love and Marriage Huntsville. I ain't quite sure still what season this is. I feel like it's season 6, but we know that it's episode 4 and it's called Black Exploitation. Okay. Now I like how they did that there. They didn't give us a little double meaning right there. Black Expo, okay, because we're gonna be talking about the Black Expo, right? And then it's Black Exploitation. Because what's the budget? That is the question. What is the budget? Okay. We're going to get into all that in just 1 second. But first things first, we got to celebrate. This is Love and Marriage Huntsville's 100th episode. Shout out to Carlos Rang, Kingdom Reign Entertainment, the entire cast. 100 episodes of a show is major. So congratulations to all of you for keeping us entertained over 100 episodes. All right, that's a huge feat. Okay, so with that being said, let's get into what we would rate this episode on a scale of 1 to 10. Okay, for me, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm gonna give this a 10. Why? Because I feel like we back to business, baby. We are back to business on this episode. We get a little bit of conflict, but also the conflict is business related, which I always find so interesting. It just takes me back to what we were discussing just a few weeks ago with SWV and Escape, and how, there are aspects of business that do need to be discussed. And oftentimes those things can be unpleasant discussions, but we get a lot of that throughout this episode, and we got a couple of aha moments that I just thought were pivotal in terms of direction. And I feel like this episode really represented the pivot that we've been feeling for much of this season. So we'll have to wait and see how it plays out, but at least we can see where it's starting out from in the beginning. So for me, all of those factors help make this episode a 10. And plus, I giggled. I laughed. Okay. I laughed at a couple of things, and we're going to talk about it. So let's get into it. All right. So we start back off. We are still in the spa, right? The spa from last week with Tiffany, kind of going in on Kiki about, you should have your cousins back. Friends will come and go. I don't know why you was having Melody's back. You should have been having your cousins back. Okay. Pretty much that's the essential, state that we're at with the argumentation, right? Kiki's trying to defend herself. They're trying to settle, Tiffany down because she's expecting, and she definitely shouldn't be arguing. So then we get Stormy kind of interjecting, and Stormy wants to get at what she said and why she said what she said. And if Kiki felt a certain type of way about what she said about, Marsau, then she should have said something. But Latisha is like, I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to talk about it. Now, here's the thing, and rightly so. I'm just gonna look at this objectively. I'm not gonna look at, how nobody feel about nobody else. I'm gonna look at this from an objective perspective. Why would she want to talk about this whole incident with her husband and this whole boys trip with the allegations that had came up about it? I am quite sure she doesn't want to continue to relive that. Who would? So to me, I definitely feel like I understand why she wanted to shut that down. But I'm gonna tell you something else that I ain't understand either. In the blink of an eye, how she was like, yes, that's what happens. We get everything out on the table. I was like, now, Latisha, now come on now. Like, 1 minute you don't want to talk about it. The next minute, let's get it all out on the table. Maybe she had a change of heart after she figured the direction of the conversation really wasn't going to be focused on Marsau, but more or less how Kiki and Stormy could come to some type of resolve with that situation when they were there. All I know is things are getting heated, okay? Or at least things seem like they're getting heated. And Melody is honestly like, I knew it was coming. Melody is like sitting over there. She's like, you know what? Okay. Okay. All right. Okay, y'all, I'm gonna go. Cause she hoarse. I'm gonna go. And I'm just gonna get on. You guys, I want to think positive thoughts and warm, happy feelings. Happy feelings. I got to go. And then she got to come back through and stay by, because that's how Black folks in the South do. Okay, y'all, I'm out the door, but I didn't think this is what we all desired for today. And so this don't seem like the peace and serenity that I wanted. And if you don't know, check back for about 6 seasons ago when they came into that spa and they came and attacked me and called me bougie. No, ma'am, no, ma'am. I won't go through it again today. And I don't think this is what is proper etiquette for us to be doing at the spa. So I'm gonna get to getting, and I'm out of here. Bye. Have a pleasant day. I bid you all adieu. And may God bless you and your journey. God said for me to go. Oh Lord, you know, I ain't never laughed so hard as I did watching Melody try to get up out of there, but still, you know, come back and do the Southern. But I got to still greet y'all goodbye. You know, y'all know how we do. We still got to go around the room. Okay, I'm out the door, y'all. Oh my God, I was crying. I was crying laughing, y'all. So anyway, oh Lord. But you know, everybody, to me, this show makes me just sometimes I just be cackling to myself. So Stormy's like, well, no. That's how we get these things out in the open. We got to talk about these things, and you know, we can't bottle these things up. And then Latisha's like, yeah, we got to talk about it. I was like, girl, just 2 seconds ago, you ain't want nobody to talk about it. But again, like I said, rightly so, because who wanted to talk about their husband and all these allegations that she didn't had to talk about for the past 6 seasons? Like, I definitely would be over it too. So I get you, girl. So anyway, so Stormy's like, that's how we get to resolve. And Kiki's like, well, I don't feel resolved. And then Tiffany talking about, I ain't even get my massage. Well, Tiffany, it's your fault. Okay, you brought this all up. All right. Like that, you could have sat there and got your massage, but you had to go at it. Okay, you had to make a scene. So you either make a scene or you get your massage. What you want to do? What you want to do? Okay. So anyway, that took me out. That whole scene. Here's something else that took me out. So Martell, okay, is complaining about the cold is out in his booty shorts, okay, in his poom pooms, and they about to play some baseball. Now they ain't doing it at Big Lou's place, so they got to pay for it. And because Big Lou is, you know, traveling or doing whatever he do, you know, because him and Tiffany sometimes they be in, sometimes they be out. You never know. But you know what I love about this show? If they be like, if you got to work, go work. Okay, go get your coin, people. Okay, because you know, we ain't gonna stop you. You just won't be in the episode. So anyway, missing out on the opportunity to promote his business, he got to go work. Anyway, so as Maurice gets there, Sheree calls Martell. Now I don't know about you, okay? I don't know about you. Y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments down below, because it could just be me. And I don't know. Y'all let me know how y'all feel. If y'all just talking to somebody, if y'all just friends, as he keep telling us. All right. So Sheree calls him and he look at the phone and he like, and he put that phone right on down. And Maurice is like, now what? Now say what now? Is that okay? So my thought was, he tells Maurice, he's like, yo, well, I told her I was gonna be out with my boys, but she still called. So to me, in my mind, if somebody I'm talking to still calls me after I done said I'm out with my boys, maybe it's an emergency or something. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I don't know. If I'm so pressed to make this relationship a thing, you know, and I'm taking photos for TMZ, I might want to answer the phone when she called me when I'm filming to, you know, further legitimize this thing. But, you know, he got too many things going on. He got to hit these balls and these poom pooms. So anyway, Maurice is questioning him about, well, you chasing up after Melody after the events. You know, how Sheree feel about all this? And you know, Martell ain't got time to be thinking about that. He ain't got time to worry about those little details. You know, Sheree is in Atlanta. This is in Huntsville. Like, who cares? Different zip codes, okay? So Martell talks to them about, which I thought was an interesting conversation, how he felt like he had lost his favor, you know, for a while with God. So, you know, they talk about, you know, family and how, you know, things, when you go through things and how something like you could end up feeling like that. And I can definitely understand that thought process. I thought that was a real moment. And so Marsau and Maurice feel like he's finally coming around from his divorce, and they talk about, whether or not he wants more kids. So apparently he has talked to Sheree about it, and she wants to have more kids. Now, but you say she's just a friend. Now, but y'all having conversations about kids. I, ooh, I mean, whatever. So at the end of the day, kids is on the table. It sounds like. Go figure. So Maurice has a conversation with his new business partner, Gino, in his offices. I would hate an office where I got to face the other person. You know what I'm saying? Like, I got to look at your face all day while we working. I would really hate that. To be honest, I would absolutely hate that. So we would have to move that thing because I can't look at you all day, right? But it does provide for a convenient way to film a scene. So kudos. So anyway, Gino is somebody that I absolutely like for Maurice. I mean, for Marsau to be working with, okay? Because he is able to really talk some sense into him business-wise. Because, Marsau has these, I would say, kind of antiquated viewpoints about gender roles in relationships and in terms of his idea of being a provider. Now, ain't nothing wrong with this idea of being a provider because I understand it. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, you can't be so in provider mode that you end up stifling the person that you are trying to provide for. And so Gino lets him know, like, Latisha needs to be a bigger part of this business if you really want us to grow in the way that you are claiming that you want us to grow. She's an asset here. And you trying to protect her by keeping her out of certain elements of the business because you don't want to worry her with stuff. I don't know. That does sound a little contradictory to what he was telling her last week about knowing her role and how this chair she was sitting in won't bring in no income. But I do feel like he had some realizations in this conversation with Gino, and Gino told him, his dad, I think it was his dad or grandfather, I cannot remember, told him that we're raising wolves, not sheep. We are raising wolves so that they can learn to hunt and gather and build for the home. And if something, God forbid, ever happened to Marsau, then Latisha would need to know how to do all the things that he's able to do. And that really does open Marsau's eyes. And that's another reason why I thought this episode was so good, because that was such a real conversation. And Gino reflected on how he felt like he wished he had been more open in his marriage to bringing his wife into being a part of the business and just opening up to her more about what was actually going on, so that, maybe their relationship could have turned out differently. And it really does open Marsau's eyes. And that was, again, such a nice pivot moment to see the realization dawning on him. I really enjoyed this conversation. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And again, this hits home at one of the reasons why I think this show is so successful, because yes, there is drama and some comedy, but oftentimes what we will find is that these are real conversations that these people are having, and they really do get at the human side of our life experiences as business owners, as Black people, as men, as women. I really think that the concepts are so universal to a lot of us that are watching. That is one of the reasons why we love and enjoy this show. Now, moving on, over at Marsau and no. It's Kimmi and Latisha at Scott Imperium, right? And so, Kimmi is inviting Latisha, who has been displaced by Marsau, mind you, to come and work at the Scott Imperium because they got some open spaces there. So during this conversation, Kimmi reflects on how far the group has come. And so she has also invited Melody, who has brought some chicken salad for them to eat or whatever. So Kimmi goes into this whole, spiel, as Melody says, about, how they are the core, the nucleus of the group that they have brought together, and how them getting along is pivotal to the group moving forward and being able to really do some things in the community. And to me, what it kind of said was like, in my mind, this is what it felt like. We need a way to bridge this gap. we need a way to bring Melody and Latisha back together in a way that feels natural, but also recognizes that there has been a lot of strife, okay, in this situation. And even Melody has to reflect on the fact that, well, Latisha, in her confessional, she says, well, it's interesting because, just a few months ago, I had a, dark soul, according to Latisha. But today, we're trying to make amends or trying to move forward. I appreciate what Kimmy's trying to do because I feel like with Kimmi doing it, it comes from such a real place because Kimmi is just real. Like that's one of the things that I enjoy about, watching Kimmi in all of her interactions is it's just like this is what it is. It's how I feel. And everybody gets it. Like nobody is spared Kimmy's honesty. And I really, really enjoyed that aspect. We saw it from the flashback at the beginning of the episode where Kimmi called Melody bougie. We see it later on in the episode where Kimmi is questioning this whole Black Expo thing. So I feel like it's divvied out around the board equally. And I like that about her because she's able to hold people accountable in a way that doesn't feel like, I'm coming for you. You know what I'm saying? So I enjoy that about her personality and her role on this show. And I think she's a great bridge between Melody and Latisha. And it's nice to see that they can be cordial and it doesn't feel, to me, it don't feel phony. It just feels like, okay, we got to get along. So let's take it back to the core of what we can get along about. Like, hey girl, you look good today. Or hey, you look like your daughter is looking just like you, those things like that. Because at the end of the day, if we got a cast of divided people who can't ever film together, then it's really not interesting to watch, to be on for me. Okay. And I did wonder about that as we left the season, the previous season's reunion. Like, how are we gonna bridge this gap and get this group back together again? Because it seems very, very fractured. So I feel like they hit the right notes here. We learned that Melody wants to host a tea to get all the ladies together. Now we've seen that tea play out in the trailer, so I'm really excited about that. And I'm wondering if we're going to get that next episode or will it come in a episode after that. So anyway, over at Marsau and Latisha's house, they kind of review the Black Expo, presentation, that she wants to pitch to the group, and they really have a discussion about their roles within the company because Latisha is still trying to understand her role within the company now that she's been displaced. And Marsau reveals that he had a conversation with Gino that was very enlightening for him and about, just being a provider and, kind of leaving her out of things and leaving her out of decisions and how maybe that wasn't the right move. And he can't be a protector, then expect her to also be strong, which I thought was like, wow, such, again, an aha moment. And he's realizing that he's having these realizations about how he's been treating her, and really to see her reaction, it almost feels like a relief. And she's just like, people always say that you stick things out and you stick things through and hopefully you get to the other side. And this is one of those moments for her. Well, she feels like it's really kind of been honestly a build up to this for the past several seasons for him to get to this point. And I felt like the light has been turned on and I feel like he sees, the error of his ways. And to see him have that conversation with her and acknowledge it, and then to see them kind of come together, I really feel like is really a testament to what you want to see in a relationship that has, honestly lasted such a long time, gone through difficulty, and comes out on the end in a different and a better space. So I thought that was nice. All right. So everybody heads into the Black Business Expo meeting together. It's really just the core six, right? The energy in the room is good as everybody's arriving. And, Latisha tells us in her confessional that she thinks one of the reasons why Mel is so happy and Martell is so bothered is because the streets say that Mel is dating somebody. So no word on who that is. But anyway, they get into the presentation. Now, it's not the comeback group, so don't call it a comeback. but it's the Black Business Expo where I'm assuming they will be gathering people in the community together to come, and then they will be speaking to them about business. Okay. So Kimmi has questions. What's the objective? Because this very much seems like Marsau and Latisha's event. She wants to know in her confessional, is this just them trying to repurpose the comeback group and sell it back to them? She says that this idea doesn't seem new or original. I mean, Kimmi was going off, okay? Kimmi was going off. And again, rightly so, because these are business questions that you do have to ask that can be very uncomfortable, as we saw with the SWV and Escape show. And so really, when you have these level of conversations in business, it behooves you to leave your emotions at the door. You cannot have any emotion when it comes to a business discussion. You cannot. You have got to leave it all. You got to leave it on the float. You got to leave your feelings at the door. All right. So, you know, Latisha says that she was just using them on the the posters and the footage just as an example so that she can move forward with making a presentation. So um Melody wants to know, well, what's the budget for speakers? Because when she goes to the events nowadays, she gets the paid. So she wants to know, okay, so you want us to come and speak? Because also at this point in time, it's not really clear whose event it is, meaning who is going to be planning this event, how much involvement each person is going to be expected to how involved each party is supposed to be is expected to um participate in the planning of this. So that means if I'm planning this with you, then am I receiving any profits that may come as a result of potentially you getting sponsors? And again, these are questions that Kimmi has that I feel like, I mean, I get it. I mean, she's asking the right questions. So Latisha wanted it to be free, so she really wasn't going to pay anybody. But if they want to talk about that, then let's talk about it. And so again, I respect this level of conversation at this point because I feel like, the questions are being asked, no one is having an emotional response to it, right? So as Melody is asking, giving an example of, the fee for speaking, Martell is all to the side snickering to Marsau, like, ask her what's her fee. I want to be like, no, Martell, let's ask you what's your fee. Okay, because I could wager a guess. All right. So anyway, I thought that was just fun. That just cracked me up. Okay. It cracked me up for a lot of reasons. And if you know, you know. All right. So, you know, Mel is like, don't ask me what my fee is, because my manager will get to you about that. As again, that's how business is handled at this point in time. It's like, okay, you ask him, honestly, to be honest, like to really, really get down and dirty with you, like I feel like, that's why you hire managers and people as you get to a certain level in your career, because your management team is the team that advocates for you and negotiates for you on your behalf when it comes down time to, all right, let's conduct in business. You want so and so to speak at an event, it's going to cost you this much. And whatever your fee is that's your fee. You know what I'm saying? Like it is what it is. People can complain about it, but at the end of the day, you have to respect it. You don't have to like it, but you have to respect it. So Kimmi also wants to know, well, what's the avenue for marketing? And Marsau is like, well, we were going to be using social media and we want you to use your social media. So Melody's like, well, what's y'all fee for posting? So Latisha's like, well, we're not paying for posting. All right. So Mel is like, well, oftentimes, there's a fee for speaking, and then there's also the fee for promoting the event. You know what I'm saying? So Latisha's like, well, girl, we may not be able to afford you. And that if that's the case, then that's the case. I feel like it's reasonable for her to ask, but it's also reasonable for Latisha to be like, okay, well, we can't afford you. I mean, it is what it is. That again, it's business. which has no room for emotion. So, because Mel is like, I'm not working for free. And so Kimmi wants to know, well, how is this going to be financially worked out? And Marsau says that, well, Black is going to be a title sponsor or something like that. But Marsau is just like, well, let's toast. Let's toast to the Black Business Expo. And Kimmi's like, whoa. Well, no, wait a minute now. Now, wait a minute. Hey, what we toasting to? Because ain't no agreements been made here. I still got questions, and y'all ain't provided me with no answers, okay? Because Kimmi's like, who's planning this? Are y'all planning it and we just showing up? And Marsau is like, you can be involved as you want to be involved. Let's toast. So Kimmi's like, well, if you get $100,000 sponsorship, who the money going to? Marsau, let's toast. Toast to the Black Business Expo, okay? And I think he said the money would go back to them. But you know what? It don't matter. Let's toast. It was wild to me. I was like, oh my God, what is happening here? Let's toast. Anyway, y'all, chime down in the chat if y'all giggled as much as I did on this episode. And I will, of course, catch y'all in the next video. And happy Sunday Fun Day, y'all. So I'm Richie Skye, the author and publisher of The Wickedest Wives, Desiree's Desire, which is book 1 in a series. This book is about redemption. It's the story of a disgraced journalist who has lost everything. And now she has to rebuild her life brick by brick. And what better way to do that than to join a reality TV show? Why not? Now, not only are we talking reality TV, so you know there's going to be scandal, you know there's going to be a little bit of deception, backstabbing, a little romance, and why not throw in a sprinkle of murder to really round out the excitement? So I really want you guys to dive headfirst into these books. Desiree's Desire is just the first of many to come. So I'm super excited for you guys to read this, and I want to know exactly what you think. So be sure to follow, like, share, and subscribe, and stay tuned for more.